Hi guys, it's Mary. Welcome back. Today is Sydney Grace Sunday and we are going to be using, I have that upside down, the Enduring Love palette, and I'm going to show you the look that I pretty much did every day for a month. And I'm also going to talk to you about how to tone down Sydney Grace if it's a problem for you, not knowing what to do, like it's too intense, because I had a question about it. And yeah, if you want to see how I arrived here, just keep watching. Had to go in there and get me a cup of ambition. I love that line. Got used to drinking some coffee up at the hospital. And I don't mean decaf, just a little bit. Okay, I can have just a little bit. In the last Wasted Away in GlitzyFritzyVille basket, I told you I pulled this in. I didn't spend the amount of time that I should have talking about it because I knew I was going to do this. Because I thought it was so funny that for an entire month, the look that I did pretty much every day was the same look. And you would think that it would be this first row, right? Because I've always told you guys that my favorite shades in here are the top row. But no. I spent almost a month in the second row and I kept doing the same look over and over. Sometimes I would accent and pop it with this, but pretty much I did the same thing every day because I was in a hurry. I was truly cherishing right there in the middle, that gray toned shade. I know, right? And sometimes that would be the only shade I used. I thought I would do that look with you today and also answer a question that came from one of you about how do you tone down Sydney Grace? Because they're like, it's so pigmented, I can't, how do I do that? I'm going to show you. So first thing we're going to do is prime the eyeballs here. And guys, I got to tell you something. I'm having a problem with this camera. All of a sudden, I don't know why, but it's like the cable from the camera to the monitor, and I need the monitor. PETA acts up way too much for me to try to see what's going on with no glasses on a little bitty screen up there. It has to be attached to a monitor. All of a sudden, over the last couple of days, I've spent 10 minutes and holding my breath trying to get the camera and the monitor to talk, and I don't know what the problem is. The connection's good. Nothing's happened. Ever since I hooked up this camera, nothing touches it. It stays exactly like it is. So it's not like cables are getting pulled in and out of it or whatnot that make it so that it's loose or anything like that. It's like when a USB on your laptop just stops accepting a USB. All right? It's like the camera is not accepting. Am I going to have to, after all this time, go back to filming on a webcam? I don't know what to do about it. But, it's kind of scary to think, okay, I'm going to film today. Oh, well, no, I'm not, because the camera won't cooperate. Okay, are we ready? Grab your GlitzyFritzy Essential Eye Set. And I don't have them all because I just washed brushes last night. I got 3 of them anyway, and we'll pull in a pencil brush. Starting with my E25 and not even in a Sydney Grace eyeshadow because you guys know I start here all the time. It's my eyeshadow savior, Wet n Wild's Creme Brulee. Okay, I need that from the crease up. If you've never been here before, I do that, even though a lot of YouTubers will tell you, and probably makeup artists too, don't put down powder over your primer because it won't hold on to your eyeshadow. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons why they do that, but they're not 60 with slack eyelids, okay? 60 and slack means you do more patting than you do blending. If you're 60 slack and me, you do not take shadow directly here, okay, and try to blend it, because all you're going to be doing is working this stuff more than necessary. For crying out loud, we don't want to work that more than we have to, do we? No, we don't. I mean, I'm all for aging naturally, but come on, guys, I'm not going to help it along. I put that in there so that we can blend over the top, even though it's going to be less potent. But I'm willing to trade that off for a better experience blending. And I'm just going to tap right down in here. You remember I told you that some days that was my only shadow, and what I would do is get something big like this, dip in there and go, okay, that's it, I'm done. All right, but I'm going to do my favorite look from that row for you today, and so I'm going to just let my eyelids go slack. Now look at my eyelids very closely. Actually, you don't have to look very closely. You can see that when I am not animated and got my eyes up like this, which I almost always talk like this, okay? But if I just relax, then you can see that I have skin that comes down and it's hanging on this lid. I'll be like Meryl Streep in It's Complicated, and I'll be like sitting around going like this, holding this eye up. So if you want to get that disguised the best you can, you need to start out with your eyelids slack. Just let it go. Be like it is. Now I can see where I need to bring that shadow as opposed to this eye, which isn't laying down on my eyelid. And I'm just going to look straight on and pat that down right there. That shadow doesn't look as dark because, one, I have the eyeshadow over the creme brulee. Remember I laid that down? But two, I was just patting this brush in here. I can build that up slowly to get the intensity I want. Or, let's flip it around the other way. I can go in there aggressively. Now look how much I have. And I can come over here and now patting it down yields that right away, doesn't it? So it might seem logical, but just barely tap your brush in if you want. Or it is the brush itself. That's why we have all these different brushes. But first, before I talk about that, let's just do this, okay? Get this put into my crease. Very quick look. Because I basically didn't want to think about my eyeshadow. I just wanted to go. And my uneven eyes are a lot of the reason why one shadow at least has to go in there. Okay, so that I can properly disguise the fact that that eyelid was laying on top. That is so different. Even with just this one shadow in here, it disguises the fact that that's happening. Anyway, I never forget the first time that I noticed. And I've been watching home movies over at my mom's and paying close attention to like the thickness of my hair, this situation and stuff. And you know, all of that was present then too. From 80s and 90s, Mary. I've had this stuff. I just never noticed it before. I don't think people tend to notice what other people aren't pointing out, or you have no idea how much time I'm actually looking at my face. You can't help but see in detail every flaw you have. So the first time that I actually looked in a mirror and noticed that my eyelid was this way, I thought I had a stroke because I thought, oh my gosh, one side of my face has fallen. No, it's always been that way. I just never noticed it before. And if I do my eyebrows and I put on mascara and eyeliner, you will not notice that that eyelid is falling down like that. Just make sure that when you do your eyeshadow that you don't raise your eyes up, but actually let it fall. And then when you put on stuff, it will detract from it and you can try and even it out a little bit more and it won't look so funky. The next thing I do is get Albert and bring it onto my eyelid. So what I'm going to do first to demonstrate for you what I'm talking about with making these shadows a little less potent, I'm going to take this BK Beauty, I think it's a 201, but see how fluffy it is? It's like pinched here at the bottom and then all these bristles are just left to be wild. Because it's so fluffy, it's going to pick up a heck of a lot less pigment than what we would normally use on our lid, which everyone says to use is a shader brush. Watch what happens. I'm going to just dip down into Albert and I'm going to bring that on my lid. Ta-da! That's it. That's not too much for anybody, right? Just a slight little wash, sophisticated little glisten going on the eyelid. Not much at all. You might not be thinking about that because it's a blender. So we tend to think, oh, well, if it's a blender brush, then I have to blend with it. Do you? Do you though? You could actually do your whole look, and I have done it many times to show you that you can use the E25 from your GlitzyFritzy set to do your entire eye. Now on the other eye, I'm going to use an actual shader brush, and this one here from my set is dense. It also might be a little big for smaller eyes, some hooded eyes or whatever, so you can go for the E21, which I also include in my set. I'm just going to swipe one time through with a shader brush and watch what happens when I come to my lid now. Do you see how much more intense that is than this? That was just one swipe with a shader brush. The reason is because the shader is really dense and compact and meant to pick up a lot of shadows like this to put on your lid. And this is meant to blend out shadows, not pick up as much in your crease and your transition. Super, super easy. Now let's even out the eye look. Because I am that intense girl, I do want that to shine quite a bit. Then I take my E36, come into Boaz, and I skate that on the outside here. Again, relax the eye and come right up on top of that. Now you'll want to raise so that you can get in between it, but let that fall down and just skate it right on top of it, and it will make it less noticeable. Up to get in there, down so that you can see where you're at. Of my brush set, this is my favorite brush. Shh, don't tell the E25. You might think that it's the E25 because I have said in the past that it is, and it truly is, the most functional brush in there. I start every eye look with it. If I truly, really had to pick a brush that I said, this is the brush I'm going to keep forever and ever, amen, it would be the E25 because of its functionality, because of how many things it can do. But my favorite brush is this one, the little tickler here, the E36, because it's responsible for me being able to do this and not get too out of control with shadow. It's wonderful for the hooded eye. And, you know, it just barely moves your eye around. Have you noticed that that slackness is barely moving as I do this, and yet I'm getting the color I need, and it's because of the bend and sway of the E36. Not a lot of people talk about this brush. It's so underrated. For older, slacker lids, I think the E36 is essential. I'm going to take a pencil brush, and then what I've been doing is I'm just dipping into Boaz, and I'm getting a lot of that, and then I'm coming, let's get rid of these patches now. I come here on the outside and I smudge that up here like this about halfway underneath my eye. Like so. And you remember that that color is what's here on the outside. So, you know, just making that match. And then from the inner corner to meet it, I have either been, most of the time, been going into Victoria, but sometimes for a pop of color, I also get Ruth. Let me get on the rest of my makeup really quick.
Driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive. Nothing in sight, forever in flight. Follow those lines, we'll make it this time. Blurry street lights, work as a guide to memories that we're making tonight. Oh yeah, we'll make it tonight. Yeah. I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do. I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove. No end in sight, just always staying on the move. I'll go all night if that's just what I got. Life's too short to care about what you can't afford. Memories are in what you explore, so just don't be ignored. Go ask for more. at last. They ain't looking inside for their needs in life. They wanna be liked by everybody in sight. But trust me, being free ain't spotlights. No, it's long nights and it's long fights with yourself all the time to get your mind right. But if you put in the work, you can find the light. Alright, I'll do anything that I feel like I wanna do. I'm living life like I got nothing left to prove. No end in sight, just always staying on the move. Oh, go.
I'm going to tell you a little story real quick here. There are these holes in my door over there, 2 of them. I catch them out of the side of my eye or whatever, and they look like bugs. Got time for a little story about what happened, how those holes got in my door? Well, I have a Marilyn Monroe picture. Let me show you it. This thing is so heavy, okay? Oh, I mean, super heavy. Look how thick it is. And it's like solid wood. Here it is. Listen. Right? This is heavy. We're just gonna park it right here in front of me, okay? As you remember, a long time ago, I used to have a Marilyn colorful picture behind me in the background because I love Marilyn Monroe. All right, well, my daughter, she bought me this, but it's so big, it's so heavy, and I'm sure that if you're guys like my shy guy, sometimes it takes them a long time to do stuff, all right? So we've not found a good place for this to be in here, but I love this picture. And it sits behind the door. So the door's right here, picture is right here against a wall. It's like a little cubby over there, okay? All right, well, this Marilyn picture, it sits parallel to the door against that wall and has for years. And when I film, what happens is the camera is plugged into the computer, and then I will transfer the footage like this is going to get transferred in here. And what I'll do is I will set that in motion and then I'll leave the room. And I shut the door because the lights have to stay on in here or the camera will go off because it's on the same outlet. So I don't shut off the light. I have to shut the door because like I'm the person, you know, everyone else in the house leaves all of the lights on. But me, I'm going behind everybody turning off the lights. The last time I filmed, what happened was I shut the door, like always. I'm not slamming the door, I'm just pulling it too. But this thing, after years of being propped up there, finally just slid down, I guess. And there's just enough room between that wall and the door and this picture that it was like a barricade. And it made a loud noise when it hit the floor. And I thought, what the heck was that? So I try to get in. I'm locked out of my office and everything in here, studio lights, the camera, everything's still on. And I am locked out. Shy Guy's on the porch, he's smoking. I open up the door and he goes, what was that loud noise? That's how loud it was. He heard it on the porch. And I go, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Honey, I accidentally am locked out of my office. And he's laughing at me like a hyena. I go, well, you just keep laughing because you're not going to be laughing in just a few minutes when you have to go in there. And try and figure out how we're going to get in. Like, what are we going to do? Break the door frame to get, how are we going to get in this door? So immediately he starts like, you know, jamming, trying to shoulder his way in. It ain't working. We keep this up. Finally, he gets a little upset. He goes out in the garage. He goes, I'll get in. Goes out in the garage, gets a hanger, and like he's taking it, which is a good idea. But I knew it wasn't going to work because I got a feeling I know what's behind the door. I've got a clue that Marilyn is probably playing a bad trick on us. Look at that face. Does she look like she would pull a trick? All right, he is taking the hanger under the door and trying to push whatever it is out of the way. Well, that ain't gonna work. He tries this for several minutes. Finally, he disappears into the garage again, and now he's mad, and he's got the drill. And I know what's gonna happen. He's not hesitant about doing these things, so he takes the drill and drills a hole in the door. Takes the hanger, tries to think, and I told him, honey, I think what it is a Marilyn Monroe picture. Drills another hole in the door. Okay, I'll show you the holes in the door. This time he gets in, but now I got these nice little holes in my door and my side eye. You know, it's catching side eye from me all the time, and I keep thinking they're bugs. Okay, so that's it. I wanted to say thank you for the shout out I got recently from Nanny and the Moose. I wore my bandana for you today, Nanny. Okay, what a nice shout out. And I subscribed to her channel too. Several of you come and told me that Nanny had given me a shout out. didn't know who she was, thoroughly enjoy the channel. So if you are from the GlitzyFritzy family and you want to check out her, I will have her linked below. I think you'll like her. She's sweet. And thank you again, Nanny, for the shout out. On that note, I have to keep holding on to Marilyn here. I want you guys to know that you are the best part of the Fritzy family, and that if you're not having a blessed day, the way you get one is to go be a blessing to somebody else. And until next time, how are we going to do this? Love you. See ya. Bye. And I'm out.
Oh, she goes like this with her nails. Pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Put my own take on it, you know. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by. It's no taking and no giving. No, that part's not true, but I'm barely getting by. That favorite line in that movie, what is it? Yeah, let's see how long it takes her to hogtie this sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot. I can't believe I just did that. I haven't seen that movie in forever. The other day, someone asked me if I had Botox. Does it look like I have Botox? No. Ow, I hit myself, you wild thing. You make my heart sing. You make everything diffused. I am the person in the house, because like every light in the house is on. And, oh, Trace, if you want to, if you're watching, like I'm sure you are, if you want to duet, I'm open. Call me. Okay? Anyway.